Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are looking at the long anticipated, much anticipated BYD Dolphin. It's the car that promises an awful lot. €25,000 starting price, blade batteries, no cobalt, a range of over 400 kilometers, things like 88 kilowatt charging. And today BYD showed us at a presentation this car compared to the ID3 and the MG4. The warranty is generally longer, the price is significantly cheaper, safety tech is standard, things that the other car companies, right now anyway, aren't competing with. But my prediction for 2024 and beyond is BYD and other companies like them are going to force the traditional brands like Volkswagen to adjust their prices and adjust their spec, which in theory should be good for consumers everywhere. So let's have a little look around the new Dolphin here on Nobby on Cars. You're very welcome. The charging port for 88 kilowatts is down here, CCS charger, that's fine, 11 kilowatt on board. And on your mirror, there's NFC. You'll see the little sensor here. That means there's a card that comes with the car that you tap off this part and you use it to get in and out and start the car. So you don't actually need keys and all that messing around. And there's the app as well. So very handy way of getting in and out of the car. And also something else is very, very clever inside this vehicle. If in the hugely unlikely event you'll ever need it, let's hope you never do, but there is, it looks like lipstick. It says do not remove, as in from this vehicle. That is for cutting your seatbelt should you get trapped in the car underwater, in a fire, anything like that. Hopefully never happens, but very, very handy. And it's like one of those, in case of emergency, break glass parts that's just sitting under the center armrest. Okay, so the front of the car, we don't have a frunk under here, but it's not the biggest car in the world for frunks anyway. It's not to say it's a small car on the inside, because they've managed to squeeze quite a bit in. Even the boot is very generous. Black, kind of textured BYD finish. All the cars, depending on colours, and there's a black and a kind of an, I think it's a snow and ice, a kind of a creamery, and that's kind of appropriate because we're in the middle of agricultural land here, coming next year. There's two cheaper trims, so the car actually won't be available for the lower price until the second quarter of 2024. So the prices now are kind of hovering around the €30,000 mark. Just looking at some of the safety stuff, so blind spot in these mirrors, rear collision avoidance, that's something you can't even get on the ID3, but it will be on the car. There's a heat pump as standard on all range models. What does a heat pump do? Well, it uses a different power source to heat up your car when it's cold, and that doesn't eat into your actual battery that's providing you with range to get you from A to B. Now, a lot of people have been talking about build your dreams off the Atto 3 and the Seal with some dental floss and a hairdryer. You're not going to be able to do it on this car because it's in behind this light bar. So just get used to it. There's nothing you can do about it. BYD, however, have included a rear wiper. Again, that is something that MG do not give you on the MG4. Something to bear in mind. BYD really have aimed all their guns at the competitors with their presentation this morning. Now, this is the boot. Obviously, you can see for yourself. What's cool about it is you've got different levels, so you can drop this shelf down below. If you do that, you don't necessarily have somewhere to store your bags of cables, your Type 2 and your granny cable. And there's also additional space, although there's nothing really you can do with it down here further down. But there's cargo nets, and it's quite a decent boot for the size of the car. And the fact that it has that adjustable parcel shelf is again something that's pretty good. Most cars this segment wise and size wise don't come with a rear armrest, but the Dolphin does. Let's take a little look inside. Right, stepping into the rear of the Dolphin, you've got a flat floor, dedicated platform EV, so that's got lots of space. As I mentioned, an armrest. Again, you don't normally get an armrest in cars in this segment. Two USB-C charging ports. Also down here, and if you know more than I do, because the guys from BYD hadn't even necessarily noticed this is a positive negative cover. And does it give you access? Well, it does give you access, but is it just the access to the battery in the event of emergency services? Because safety is something that BYD have spoken about a lot when it comes to their cobalt battery, because they're talking about how safer they are. They're obviously cobalt free in the blade battery. And yeah, ethics-wise, some people will be concerned about that and how cobalt is mined, but you have peace of mind if you buy a BYD that you're not involved in that. Also, what's interesting about them is 1 in 5 smartphones and 1 in 3 Android phones have a battery that is produced by BYD. They're around nearly 30 years. They're around a long time. Devices, pop them in the back of the seats here. Further traditional, where you would have put a map in the old days. What do people stick in there? Probably tablets that they stick in there now. So good storage going on. And door bins are all right for your rear passengers as well. Plenty of space in the back of them. So, you know, again, size of the car, pretty decent back here. Also on the battery, BYD say the cycles in the car are good for between 3,000 and 5,000 cycles, which means somewhere around 1 million kilometres. The battery, they'll cover up to 200,000 kilometres across 8 years. The actual car itself is 6, which again is double the length. Not double the mileage, but double the length of the ID3. Now, compared to the Atto 3, it's not as fancy in here. It's not to say they've, you know, made it a boring place to sit. You know, you've got quirky little center console buttons here, shortcuts to things like your charging, your climate control, and your hazard lights. You don't need to go into any screens to access these main points. However, the BYD famous screen is here, which rotates into landscape and into portrait should you wish, but you still have shortcuts to the things you might want, and your climate control always stays down here. You can get further levels of it if you click into the actual menu. Now, if you get annoyed by car settings, because this car will tell you if you're driving over the speed limit, like physically, like a sat-nav voice will tell you, it will beep and warn you about things. So there's all this kind of safety on board. Look, it will make your car safer. It may wreck your head. There are different levels to it, and all can be controlled by these shortcut settings. So look, it's up to you how involved you want the car to be. For your regen braking, you've got standard and you have high. And as you can see there, we're on 86%. 11 kilowatt onboard charger. Anti-theft alarm is there. Generally in this colder weather, it's doing 19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. You will better that by quite a bit in the summertime. But look, smaller, well, not smaller, because it's still on the highest size battery, 60 kilowatt hours, but this type of temperature, never great. Kind of hard to access because this shelf comes out, but you have charging cables down here. There's an ashtray of sorts back here. You have a wireless charging pad, depending on spec, going on here. It's not in this car, and there's further storage beyond this kind of spine. In theme with the name of the car, Dolphin, the door handles, they're like fins, or supposedly like fins. The screen for your instruments, it is quite small. It does squeeze in a lot of information there. You've got speed sign, blind spot, you've got your range, your battery state of charge, your odometer. They're all there. And then you've got shortcut buttons, including one that messes with your screen on your steering wheel. So actually they have packed a huge amount inside this car. But we need to go for a spin and see how this front wheel drive 204 brake horsepower car performs. While there's going to be 4 trim levels, there's 3 different power outputs. This one is the 204, then you've got 176, and then there is the entry level, which you need the second trim up to have a multi-link rear suspension. The second level is the one that creeps over the 25,000 euro. These prices are all after grants, of course, as well. So as long as they stay. If the grants were removed, the most expensive trim in this car would be 36,000 euro. Now that is a lot of money for the size of the car. As I say, the grants are there at the moment, but I don't know if it'll be leaving it too long. They're tapering solar grants down. They've done it already with cars. There is more room to go. And Eamon Ryan and his merry men and ladies will cut that back. So it's something to think about. The active lowest entry car is 95 brake horsepower. So that's over 100 down on this one. Now, this is a potent car. When you think about it, a Mark V Golf GTI had 200 brake horsepower. Now you're getting in a small hatch that, dare I say it, could do the weekly trip to Mass. It's that kind of car, but it will also do so much more due to the stuff we pointed out on the interior. The steering is light, no great levels of feedback. It is a front-wheel drive car. There are times it's a kind of a slippy December day here on the roads. little bit of tyre struggling for traction at times. It's not undrivable, but it's there if you accelerate very hard. As you can hear, there's lots of beeps. If you go over the speed limit, this car will tell you with an audio. Well, normally it does. Today it won't for some reason. It'll say, you are breaking the speed limit. In this cold climate today, it is doing approximately 21 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. But again, this is a short journey. A lot of people driving this car. Not really fair to compare, but certainly over the longer term, it seems to be doing 19. But again, it's only 200 kilometers in this car. I need to get it for the full week to give you a better understanding of what the efficiency is. If you're someone who's had an early doors Dolphin, do let me know what your consumption has been. Just for manoeuvres like this as well, all cars are going to come with the 360 camera. So again, it's worth having a look at the website to see all the level of tech that this car is coming with the standard, because it is remarkable in that sense. When you keep coming back to the price, suspension a little bit hard. You can get 16-inch alloys on it. They're the smallest wheel, but the weight of it seems to benefit, or the lack of weight, because that kind of wallowing bounce that you get from some EVs is annoying, much like the beeps that, look, as I said, you can turn off, but you've got to go in every single journey to do that. But it's a sharp handling car. It's a low enough seating position. The brakes are good and the hazards come on. There was a pretty low speed for the hazards to come on. But again, everything is safety focused in these cars due to regulations. So if you leave everything on, I haven't turned anything off today, and watch out for ramps as well. You might scrape underneath the car. The main beep is speed limit, which is, you might say, is not a bad thing. You know, you need to know when you're breaking the speed limit. Keep your points clean, your license clean. But look, I'm just going to say it. You just keep coming back to the price of this car, and for that, this is really very good. Apart from that, there is no doubt that this car is going to change the EV market in Ireland. In countries it's already launched in, it's been consistently number one for months and months and months. This segment of car, the C segment, it's crying out for more EVs, affordable EVs. 25 grand for a brand new car is a very interesting space, and not one that we've really experienced in Ireland until now. And if the interest in the BYD Seal, its much bigger brother or sister, is anything to go by, this is going to be very, very interesting. I think there's already a waiting list for this car if you're interested in it. BYD have announced that they have some new dealers in Wexford and Cork also, as well as 2 dealerships in Dublin if you're interested. I think they've managed to fit a lot into the car. Yes, in places it feels like it's 25 grand, but it's 25 grand, and that's kind of the point. Even the Atto 3 is 15,000 euro dearer than this car, but it doesn't feel like a 15 grand cheaper car, if you kind of get what I'm saying. So let me know your thoughts on the car. Would this now be the car that will tempt you finally into an EV? Because BYD say they expect a lot of first-time EV drivers to be interested in the Dolphin. Thanks for coming with me this far, and I'll talk to you on the next one.